This week on Tech Therapy, we're really getting into how many iPads we really need in our life because there's a lot of iPads, Scott.
There are a lot of iPads, Bridget.
And also we're going to talk about how to deal with so many subscriptions in our life. It's something that doesn't burden me anymore.
What? How the heck did you pull it off? I keep adding subscriptions. It's ridiculous.
I'll tell you all about it. And I'll also talk about what I learned from the New York Toy Fair and how to tap into our inner children.
These are cute. I used to have Transformers.
I'm Bridget Carey.
I'm Scott Stein.
And we'll get into it. Scott, you've been covering the new iPad news this week. What do you want to get off your chest in our therapy session?
Well, I just thought there are a lot of iPads, and they're always kind of the same. I just feel like it finally hit me that not much seems to change year after year, and I have this existential relationship with the iPad.
How long have you been covering iPads?
Long time, since they launched in 2010.
Okay. It's been a while.
It's been a while. And, if you've been following what I've been writing about this, like I've said, okay, they need to be a laptop for a long time. And Apple has done that. They have added keyboards and multitasking and things like that. But I'm just saying, so they announced the new basic iPad and the iPad Air. My family uses iPads, so I don't want to say like, what's an iPad for? Everyone uses iPads, but I just feel like they are what they are, and they're not becoming more than that in my life, and I'm not using them all that much.
It's like, if you haven't had one yet, okay, now they're faster, and maybe it's always a better time to get an iPad when there's a new spec upgrade, but it's for the same purpose, is what you're getting at.
And I feel like for the family, like, my wife uses the iPad mainly, and the kids use iPads, but at the same time, like, they're not doing work on their iPads. They're doing work on Chromebooks. And I mean, like my wife's using it for doing work, but she will sometimes need to use something else. And I will use a laptop to get work done because the iPad is not quite the same thing.
No, big important stuff gets the bigger screens. I go up.
Yeah.
Like I cannot do serious work on my phone or my iPad.
Well, I'll even do more work on my phone because I feel like it's got more like targeted specific things, like I might like file like story information to the team or Slack or other stuff. But I feel like I'm kind of like the phone, laptop, and headset life now. And the iPad has been lately drifting out more. But to me, it really is. I've said this over and over and over again. When will the iPad become also a Mac? And there are people who get so pissed at that conversation that they're like, stop it already. What's wrong with you? But I feel like if you're spending a lot of money to get an iPad, that is the question to ask, because then why would I be spending laptop money if it wasn't also my laptop for reals, like not like also almost a laptop that sits next to the laptop. But then if you're only paying $350 for an iPad, sure, it can be a totally casual thing. And that's why I like the basic iPad, because I just feel like that's exactly what it is. Something that kind of like sits around, you can do things on it, and it's fine.
You have older teenagers than my kids. My kids, it's for airplane travel and entertainment, but it's not a work device in my house at all.
No.
So I guess it depends on what you need it for. Everyone has their own different iPad story or iPad reason.
And we're not artists. So it's like, I mean, I'm sure there are many artist homes out there that would be like, Scott, come on. I'm drawing masterpieces on the iPad all the time. I'm doing all of my artwork is on this iPad. And it is obviously made for that. But I just feel like if you're not that person, like I've admitted I'm not a pencil person because I'm just not, got terrible handwriting. And I every time I think I'm going to do art on an iPad, I don't. I just kind of move on and practice magic tricks and do other things.
All right, the iPad on the high end isn't that much different from a base level MacBook. At a certain point, I guess you have a choice to make. You have to make a good choice. But like, right, yeah. we always have this like layered issue of like, what is your device for, and what are you going to dive into? So you as a reviewer, you're also thinking about that too.
Yeah, and this year it also occurs to me sometimes they will announce the iPads at a separate moment from the Macs, and this year they just were like, here, Macs, here are iPads, and to me, that kind of points out that they haven't really solved that thing. They're just letting them coexist. And I find that there are things that the iPad is clearly better at, and there are things the Mac is clearly better at, but I don't know why they're not combining those strengths into something that can do them both better. Like you got the touch screen on the iPad, you've got sometimes better displays on the iPad for the Pro model, at least, better cameras. You've got the pencil element, but, and I like the modularity, but at the same time, you have a lot of things on the Mac that run well in different ways. And I don't know why it's so hard to have that stuff also work on the iPad just like that, because they're running the same chip. So that really frustrates me, because you just have these two different lines where at the high end, they're both creeping past $1,000 easily. That, how many high-end gadgets are you collecting in your household? I like to reduce those amounts and make it where there's one thing, and then maybe you're getting a couple of peripheral things. So like the cheap iPad, that could be the peripheral thing, but not the iPad Pro.
That's why I'm really glad they made a new cheap iPad, because I wouldn't buy the iPad for all of the AI and all the special stuff. I would use it as just the extra screen that I need when I need it for the kids. And it's almost like, yeah, there's the Goldilocks effect, like what's the right chair, what's the right iPad for you that fits your life. So it's kind of a relief perhaps in all the stress of the iPads that there's still a cheap iPad that doesn't need everything.
Yeah, and I like the higher end features, and I get the argument that the iPad is the computer of the future. In fact, like that's what I thought back in 2010, but like we're more in the future now, and there are still laptops, and the Macs are not going anywhere. They're not, I don't know how many more decades I'll have to wait for the Macs to not exist and for the iPad to be the computer of the future. I just feel like they're going to keep going parallel, and then you get to the point where you go, well, which path am I following? Or do I have a whole pile of gadgets that I'm keeping in my home, like different pairs of shoes? And, I don't think people like to live like that.
A lot of piling, what's piling up? That was a terrible transition. What's piling up in our lives? Subscriptions. This is a transition into subscriptions.
Yes.
We're going to talk about our next story. Scott, I feel free. I have cut all cables, all cords. I have, well, not the internet cable. I don't have television cable as of this week. I've always had cable of some sort. I actually did the thing where people did a long time ago, and I cut my cable, but I also cut my Netflix. I cut all of the extra things, the Peacocks and Paramounts, and I do have one thing. I have.
What are you watching?
I still subscribe to Apple because of the Apple One connection with the data, because it's like folded in.
Yeah.
Because I have Apple Music, but I don't have. I feel free. Like I'm gonna save some money. I'm tired of it. It's just too much. I said, forget it.
I keep adding them, and it's like little, I'll just add this for a month, and then I realize like the gym subscriptions, they just keep popping on. It's easy to remove subscriptions, and I know a lot of friends who will take a few off routinely and go, well, time to take these off and time to add this on, and you'll just cycle them. But I keep forgetting or being nervous about doing that, and it was the Academy Awards that really put me at the breaking point.
Okay, what happened?
Well, I don't know. My family's always watched the Academy Awards. My family meaning my mom and dad. And, we would always kind of watch those, and I have a kind of emotional connection to that. And I was watching them this year, and it just felt really absurd because, first of all, it was on Disney Plus for the red carpet. But the moment that was over, you had to go to Hulu. But they didn't tell you, so it just kind of ended. And then I had like ABC News, and I said, oh, wait, I think I'm supposed to be on Hulu now. I Googled it up, and then I went to Hulu to stream the Academy Awards. And then right when they got to the Best Actress category, it just went, oh, thanks for watching. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? And apparently for a good number of people, Hulu just ended the broadcast like it was a scheduling screw up. And there were people that talked about this, it was reported about. Some people in LA had it and others didn't. But then I was watching on Apple TV, and I went like, what do I do now? I have no idea. And then I found I was also streaming on ABC.com, which there was no ABC app on Apple TV. So that I went to just my phone, and then
at this point, you've gone from TV to phone to laptop.
Yeah, and I got like the final best picture, and I was like, screw this. What am I doing? And also, what is Disney doing? Like, what? Yeah. Why are we? Is this like to fulfill like Hulu numbers? Like, what? Why are we on Disney Plus? And then it's all the same parent company. Why am I going over to Hulu? Why can't this just be on Disney Plus now? And I know I'm like kind of shaking my fist and complaining, but also, like, we are paying for these services, and it just feels like more of a weird, crappy shuffling game that's going on. Whereas things are not more integrated. Things are more like, where did that thing go? Why is that here? Why am I over there? There are all sorts of like games where like different things are being unbundled now, where they're trying to like move this off into another tier, and then as always, shows disappear and movies disappear. Yeah. So it's just a lot of like memory holing, erasure, and bizarre. I don't know. I just feel like that one streaming thing, like, just kind of broke me temporarily to go like, what am I have no alternative. Like, I'm already off cable. I don't want to hallucinate the Oscars. I would like to I want to watch them. I have the Apple stuff because, again, the Glom subscription. And I think I get Disney and all that stuff from my Verizon bill, like it's included. So that's through there. Amazon Prime, although we were talking with my family, I want to cancel that.
Prime, because I have Amazon still.
But I'm going to
and
cancel that.
That ends later in the year for me. So
yeah. And also the Kindle stuff is kind of frustrating.
Do we really own anything? I think that takes us to our next topic. When you talked about the Kindle, we got some stuff to talk about when it comes to ebooks. So we just passed the deadline. Amazon ebooks no longer can be downloaded to your computer. So it's another reminder that we don't really own the digital content that we pay for, because what can happen is, for anyone who owns ebooks now on the Kindle, at Amazon's will, it could be changed, it could be deleted, because you are paying for the license to have that product, not actually take it on your computer and download it and hold it. So it's an uncomfortable feeling for those that have invested in ebooks.
And guess who missed the deadline to download those books?
Oh no.
This guy. Why was I so stupid about that? We actually wrote about this on CNET. I had it marked down, and now I'm gonna feel like I am more beholden to my Kindle, which I like, but I just feel like I've dug myself in a hole of my own making, where I acquired all these Kindle books and I like the idea, but now I don't like the idea. And now they changed their policy.
Well, I never bought a Kindle book. I buy physical books if I do get a chance to read. So actually, no, I'm actually, things like this have always bothered me. It's why the original iPod bothered me. Like, I wanted freedom with whatever I decided to download. So yeah, like, it really comes down to like making me feel like I can't trust any company when it comes to digital stuff anymore. And I know that's silly. We should own less things anyways, less consumerism, but still it's upsetting. Like, for example, if anyone goes, well, is that really going to happen? Are they really going to take away your digital thing? Just recently, Penguin Books changed Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by changing certain words, because the publisher was like, certain words weren't what it wanted to publish anymore, like the word ugly or fat. They didn't think it was appropriate anymore for kids to read those words. And I go, well, wait a second. Like, now I don't have the ability to, decide that for myself if I want to give that original book to my kid. Luckily, I have the physical book and I gave that book to my kid. But it's just that weird feeling of any moment someone can change something. Like, I don't know, we just had that happen to us with maps. We just had maps change on us with the Gulf of America. It's just another reminder that, like,
slipping out from under us. And I am so screwed with my digital versus physical strategy. I kind of am straddling for the past decade or so. I am just kind of doing both, but they don't overlap. So I will buy physical books. I have tons of physical books, but I've also have bought Kindle books. And I also had bought some books in the past on like iBooks for some reason. So like I have like little piles of those. And then I had like physical discs that I had bought, but I also then started getting a lot of things on like Apple TV or with Movies Anywhere. I started crossing more. So I have like a digital library, but also the physical discs. And then games have become increasingly digital, but then same thing, like where you don't have those for the long run, but I have cartridges lying around. So I'm like half virtual, half physical man.
I have the same problem with games. I have physical games, but then like I have a lot of digital ones, and that makes me nervous if anything happens and I can't get to it. And then music, my whole library can just vaporize in a moment if I don't subscribe to Apple Music now. It's very frustrating.
I had such a good system with music way back. Like, I had discs, and then I
know
ripped them all.
The big wallet.
Yeah, I still have that wallet somewhere. I ripped them all into a well-cataloged iTunes library where I had like little ratings for everything. I remember like obsessively doing that like 20 years ago. And then in the iPod era, kept that curated. Then when things shifted to iTunes Store and Apple Music, they had that iTunes match, and I would just match it. Then I kind of lost track of where I put the iTunes library. And I think I was kind of I think I lost the original file and now it's just in the cloud, but it's like matched, but it's mismatched. So like some of the tracks don't load right, but it's also with Apple Music. I'm like a zombie, like half my library, half Apple Music, but that's all subscription.
What are we if we
What
are
are we
not
now?
our belongings? We are just in the cloud,
We're just
at the mercy of the cloud.
We're just a bunch of playlist data and algorithms is all we are. We're just, it's like, it's very sad.
Oh, can we talk about something happier? Can we talk about
there-
toys?
Yeah, let's get ourselves out of this.
I brought some props.
You
It's
brought
clearly a
toys.
sign that like I'm doing great in my career right now. I'm just bringing toys to.
What are
talk about.
these?
Those are the original flipping heads Power Rangers that morph when you tap the belt buckle down. One of the hot
the
toys,
head?
a la like Tickle Me Elmo phenomenon, Furby
Yeah.
phenomenon. You just give your little belt buckle a little flip, and it's morphin time. And the reason I
Okay.
bring this is because I just got back from New York Toy Fair, where a lot of companies are trying to bring back old toys like this, but they're not doing it in the same quality. Like Playmates
no.
got the license, and they're kind of doing this nostalgia, but they're doing it in their own twist. And so, as someone who like still has these things and plays with, I don't play with toys. I give them to my kids to play with. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, but no, but seriously, like, you kind of go through memory lane when you go to Toy Fair now, because it really becomes everything that a lot of people might have had growing up and they want to give to their kids. So I'm 40 now. I'm at that sweet spot where they know I'm buying toys.
Mhm.
And so, Playmates is bringing back the flipping heads. And then there was a skip it on the show floor that I was doing, which is kind of like a jump rope foot thing. There's just a lot of He-Man is back, but now they take He-Man and they mash it up with the Thundercats that was at Mattel's booth. They call it newstalgia because we're all having
Newstalgia?
Newstalgia.
Who did they? Was that officially coined? Did they
Yes,
like?
it was.
Are they like? They're saying that.
The industry is calling it that. Like everyone, likes a good Ninja Turtle, but why not squeeze it? Because you're an adult now buying toys for your own stress relief, right?
Oh,
That's a 40-year-old brand right there, Ninja Turtles. But I wanted to also
very gummy.
talk about it's a big year for dinosaurs. And
Always a big year for dinosaurs.
it's always, and
But,
this year
like,
especially.
more?
Yeah, because they're having a new Jurassic World movie.
Okay.
But I wanted to show you, they got a dinosaur that comes out of the egg that like hatches on its own, much
like in the original, yeah, like the
Yeah.
little raptor
like
kicking out
like
the
you
shell.
could be John Hammond and go push push and watch it come out of its shell. Hatchimals was something that was really big around 2016. This was a phenomenon of like you had to buy the egg and a fantasy creature pops out, and that same company, Spin Master's, going, all right, let's put it with Jurassic World. Let's get a T-Rex, not a Velociraptor, but a T-Rex to come out of it and be all cute like. And they had to get the formula just right on egg breakage and goo inside, because that is what our tech toys are doing now. It's not just about having little robotic critters. It's like, how can we use those robots to make it come to life? I always go to Toy Fair looking for tech and toys.
I've not been in years, and I was excited to hear about your trip, because I remember I went a handful of years ago, pre-pandemic, and it was I was always looking at like weird board games and some of the robot things, but like I feel like everybody was trying to put apps and stuff at that point. It was like a lot of like AR and apps.
Yeah, there was a time where you would go to the Mattel booth and it was like, hey, here's an app that works with a toy, works with it, and you do not see that anymore. Parents push back because we were just talking about how kids are already tied to screens. You have all these subscription services. Now the mission is, how do you get them away from the screen? Although I have seen some
with a gummy turtle frog. That's how you do it.
I brought something here actually from Toy Fair for you.
What?
Yeah, I brought the actual eggshell pieces from the the hatchling.
I don't know.
I wanted you to experience it as much as you could.
I was like, you got me saying, oh no, it's slime shells.
Yeah, it's the membrane. Don't you want the membrane of the baby T-Rex that came out of it?
Ooh, this is very slimy.
Why don't you fidget with that for a while?
Oh my God. It's like a real dinosaur hatched near me.
And honestly, that was probably one of the best things I saw.
Really?
Now there were still, you don't have to hold on to that the whole time. I don't want to make you have it the whole time.
It's kind of comforting. Now here, I'll hand it over. But I want to know, so once the egg hatches, is that it? Like, are you just like,
No,
that's,
it becomes your typical robotic toy where you can train
can't
it,
do
it
the-
levels up, it grows up with you. The roar gets more adult-like, you know, you get to make it mad if you yank its tail. Your typical kind of like creature that you play with.
what is
That's a
this?
robot.
Is this like made out of chocolate? This is like very easily
looks like
shatterable. Yeah, like it's like a delicate chocolate, like, it's not chocolate.
Please don't
No.
things that
Please
toy
put,
fair.
please put the egg bits.
A lot of times there's a lot of things you have to be told not to eat at Toy Fair.
Yeah, I could see that.
No,
It's okay, that looks, it's sort of tempting. I don't know why. It's the chocolatey, it's the fact that it easily snaps apart. I'm like,
There's something to be said about the tangible joy. I saw a Monopoly version. There's many Monopoly versions out there.
we have some of those.
But there's one that ties into the app, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's a new version for kids where like you have to have a phone or a tablet set up, so you gotta get that iPad out.
Oh God, no, not again.
Because
Yeah.
they think kids are maybe having a little bit of a hard time getting into Monopoly when you have all this money counting. I don't know, maybe it's math and it's good to do. But
the money counting's isn't that like some people really like that. Like you're like, oh, I'm rich with my little bills,
well,
and
like
I can
now with
count them up.
with a smart device, you got the camera on front. Everyone has like a debit card with a QR code on the back, and you hold it up to the camera and it knows it's me. And if I wanted to buy, instead of Park Place, they have ridiculous names like the Ice Cream Factory and
Yeah.
stuff. So it's very kid focused when it's like not the original
Yeah.
places. But you could just randomize it. And the chance cards, there's only one chance card. You pick up the thing and scan the QR code, and your phone is telling you what the chance card is. Or the railroad, the phone is telling you what the
Okay.
railroad is. So more
Oh.
scanning and keeping them busy with like as you buy something, the money's moving with the cha-ching, 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 or if
Yeah.
someone lands on your place, I have to now scan the card. You could do a bidding war where you have your cards. I get that there's still physical things being picked up, but I once again am going to a board game night to not have a screen. So I don't think we've still cured ourselves of having companies try to put screens into everything, but maybe their research shows we want to blend the worlds. I'm not sure.
I don't like the idea of paying for it on a debit card. Although, like, I don't know how many times I'm using cash anymore. That feels like more of a criminal transaction situation. If you're taking out like thousands and thousands of dollars, but I guess you are paying for things with cards. Why not have crypto? It's just crypto monopoly.
It's not dollars, it's like monopoly money, so it feels like a crypto
So it feels like you're paying in different coin. Yeah, it's too many, and I feel bad too because I was kind of into the idea of screens and tech and toys for a lot of years when the iPad was new, but I feel like that gimmick just wears off. I don't know. And I don't want to be near screens either. I like board games that are abstract and have wooden pieces, and I like to play games with like cubes and spheres and stuff like that.
there are ways to interact with tech. Like we did one escape board game once that had like Alexa speaker kind of talking to you and having ambient music while we did the board game. So there's ways. It's just, it is always interesting to see how it kind of weaves itself in and still tries to be a tangible product. Sometimes it's things like the Blitzy is another one where like there's technology we see at CES where you can have a spinning image and they'll make it a tiny version for a toy, or there'll be things we see with bone conduction ear technology, but they'll use it in a toy that if you touch your forehead to the toy, you'll hear the toy. So I see tech all the
There's
time.
a bone conduction action figure?
It's amazing. It's a magical cat.
Okay.
It tells your fortune and tells you secrets through bone conduction. So I love how tech kind of weaves its way in.
Yeah.
But this year, at least, it's all about nostalgia. It's all about bringing things back that we used to have. I'm still going to give my kids the originals because I think they just feel better than the remix sometimes. But sometimes they are, it is fun to kind of relive. I just don't know if we're having original toys as much anymore.
I should have brought in all my old Transformers. I dug them out of my mom's basement. I found like the Dinobots and the cassette. I'm a bad Transformers fan. You
don't need to know them all.
The cassette recorder guy, the little mini cassette tapes that I love that became like a Falcon. I just like that they were interesting and weird. I wasn't like a fan of I still don't know the Transformers verse characters, but I just like that they did things.
Everything's diverse.
Yeah.
Everything's a universe.
But I really like abstract. I feel like, again, like If you want to capture my attention, like abstract minimalism is interesting. Like for me at least, the wooden, there's a series of wooden board games that are made by Gigamic, I believe is their name. Like they made Quarto years ago, and they have like Pylos, and they have a whole series of them, Quixo, and they're all just like wooden blocks and like interesting abstract shapes, and you play this like these fascinating minimalist games. Just puts like, I literally, it's like put cubes and spheres in front of me, and I'll be like, oh, what's that? I want
Board
that
games
thing.
are actually a big thing now, so it is a growing area in Toy Fair. But I did get you a real toy. I'm sorry, I didn't.
You
mean to
did?
tease you.
Not shells?
I didn't mean to tease you with.
Oh,
It's a Star Wars version of whatever this squishy thing is. It's a stress relief.
oh my
of
God.
sorts. So a mystery stress relief.
I'm not
Because we're-
opening this because I have a kid at home who's gonna want to open this. So this is like, I'll get very mad if I open this without him
They don't.
checking it out.
Let us take home the big stuff at Toy Fair. We'll have to see when the things release over the years.
Wait, so you can get like a whole bunch of them, and then one of them is a question mark. So there's like one unknown, 5 types in a. We're into mystery packs at home. Everything is a mystery pack. Like we're
It's just like life.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're gonna get.
we're buying mystery pin packs, we're buying mystery squishy packs, we're buying mystery like whatever's. Yeah,
Well, hopefully it brings you some stress relief until our next episode.
I'm gonna be meditating and squeezing random things at home and
That's the way.
trying to
That
escape.
is the way.
Yeah. Who knows what the next week will bring?
Well, we'll catch you next time. Let us know in the comments what you thought about our topics this week. We love to hear from you, and thanks for watching.